everyone, and she will ask you the hard questions. She will make you laugh. And so I'm going to attempt to try to do what she does to her.
On Woman Without Limits.
Yes, on Woman Without Limits, she has a show. First of all, can you just tell us all that you have going on from DOZ to Women? Just tell us everything. Please
Yes.
tell us who you
I,
are.
okay. I am a Lady Bishop Kathy Kiuna, and I, of course, live in Kenya, where God lives. This is where God is at. Everybody else borrows him for a minute.
You are absolutely right. I agree with you.
you know, yeah, and I do have a ladies' ministry called the Daughters of Zion that has
Yes.
been going on for the last 21 years. We actually just celebrated our 21 years in November
Wow.
of
Wow.
2024. And so,
Wow.
yeah, and it's been amazing. It's a global ministry that has seen many women, and I believe that's how we got you in Kenya,
Yes. And I'm so
Prophetess.
excited.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's a ministry that has seen thousands upon thousands of women give their lives to the Lord, healed,
Mhm.
married, get miracle babies,
Mhm.
delivered from diverse situations. I mean, we've seen miracle signs and wonders at the
Mhm.
Daughters of Zion ministry. And we get to invite a lot of people, global women like Dr. Cindy Trim,
Mhm.
Bishop Funke Felix Adejumo, and so many others like singers also from all over the world. Any singer that you can imagine
Mhm.
has been to our platform. And so we've seen God do great and mighty things through the Daughters of Zion ministry.
Mhm.
And I also have Woman Without Limits.
Mhm.
It's a show that is on air. It's a very, very powerful show that airs many men and women from across the
Mhm.
world. And they just give us their story and tell us who they are and where they're coming from. And we see just amazing liberations and victories coming upon the people who watch
Wow.
because it resonates
Yes.
with
And it's
them
been a blessing to
and it
me.
makes them
Yes.
know.
It's been a blessing. Yes.
Right,
Yes.
right. And they know that, what, they can also
Mhm.
make it. It gives them a chance to know that all is not
Mhm.
lost, no matter where
Mhm.
somebody is.
So,
And so those are some of the things that
yeah.
we do. And of course, JCC now, Jubilee
Yes.
Christian Church,
Yes. Yes.
Kenya. And, it's been an amazing ministry. We thank
We
God.
thank God. So I'm just going to jump into it because there's so many questions that are coming in from all over the different platforms. And one of them is, how
Right.
exactly did you know you were called to the woman? Because we all can see that you carry a specific and a special grace for everyone. And I don't like to just limit
Yeah.
people to just women and or men. And I see, and we'll
Mm.
talk about the church and how wonderful you're doing. But when did you realize you were called to the woman?
So let me just go back a little and say that when I got married to my husband, he already had a calling, and his calling was, of course, to have a church and to minister to the body of Christ and yada yada yada. So I thought that my ministry was going to be helping him
Mm.
to fulfill his purpose. And I was ready to do that for the rest of
Wow.
my life. And so when I stepped into the ministry, I was just backing him up. All right. And then in the process of backing him up, I would do praise and worship because that's been my area since I got born
Mhm.
again. My area has always been praise and worship. And I thought that's where I'll stay. And that's
Mhm.
it for me. And then one day, my husband saw, and the Lord began to tell him that I was called to the
Wow.
woman. And he said to me, honey, you're called to the woman. And I said, to tell her what? Because, like, for real, I'm like, what am I going to tell
Mhm.
the woman? And, and to cut a long story short, the rest, as they say,
Yes.
is history. When he said that to me and I accepted it, I mean, God just birthed a passion in me that I cannot even begin to
Wow.
explain to you. A passion that is beyond imagination. It's a passion that it boils
Mm,
within me. I can go to Kalahari
mm.
Desert to deliver a woman.
Your grace for women is so amazing because you just have this way of just lighting people up. And I want to know exactly, how did you grow up? Because you had to have grown up in a particular type of atmosphere for you to be this encouraging. Even when you were going through a night season, you found a way to encourage others. I want to know what your upbringing was like.
My upbringing was really not like that. Like I was a party girl. I was a party girl. You hear me
Wow.
today? Like I loved going out and just partying. That's who I was.
You a
But
party
let me
girl?
tell you
Are you
something.
serious?
I was seriously I and and I enjoyed it. Like I was out there partying, and I never even imagined like anything would come out of me of this
Wow.
nature. Okay, and so when I was out there, but let me just reverse and tell you that before I got onto being a
Mhm.
party girl, I gave my life to the Lord at the age of 10.
Wow.
10 years old. I got born again. And this is because some people came to my house. My mom was
Mhm.
not there. My parents were not there. It was just us, the
Mm.
kids. And
Mhm.
they came and spoke to us about Christ and, all the beautiful things. And I
Wow.
surrendered, really. And I was in tears, like for real. And then what they did is they told me now I can't keep long hair. My hair was long. They said I can't keep long hair. And I cut my hair. And then I was wearing shorts. And they said, you know what? You can't, all this is sin. You cannot do this. I'm 10 years old. Now I have to do away with
Wow.
shorts and I have to do away with,
Yeah.
with hair. So they helped me cut my hair. And then by the time my mother came from work, I had given away all my pants, my shorts. They were all
Wow.
given. So my mom comes into the house and she first is in shock, like, who in the world is this? And she's like, what happened? And I say, I got saved.
Radically saved.
My mother, listen, my mother literally went to look for those people.
What happened to my daughter? What happened to my daughter?
What? How are you gonna cut my daughter's hair without my permission?
Whoa.
And she's a
Yeah.
kid. So I tell people and they laugh. I tell them my mother beat salvation out of me. She literally, she dealt with
Wow.
me. She beat me so much. She was like, no, this is not happening. And so, long story short, after that, I now became the
Mm.
party girl. By the time I was a teenager, I wanted to go out and do all manner of things. And when I was 21, I got a baby.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Mhm.
But this is the baby that changed my entire
Amen.
life.
Amen.
When my baby was 1 year
Mhm.
old, I surrendered my life to Jesus when I was 22. And I gave my life to the Lord and I got totally sold
Wow.
out. Like with the same zeal that I was out there
Mhm.
partying, that's the same zeal I got for the Lord.
Wow.
And I just totally fell in love with God. And all I wanted was just to serve Him in whatever capacity. And so at that time, because I used to, when I was a party girl, I used to sing. So, so I used to sing, all those worldly songs. Chiquitita, tell me what's wrong. Those were the songs for our day. So those are the songs that I would sing, and also Whitney Houston. That was my girl. So when I got born again, I started now doing singing for God and
Mhm.
doing praise and worship, and
Mhm.
I got so deep in the Lord. And in 2 years after giving my life to the Lord, I met my husband.
Wow. 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 So let's get
Yeah,
into that.
yeah.
Bishop, how did you meet? Because I always hear the short story, but I want everyone else to hear.
Yeah.
Well, that's his when you met his spiritual mom.
Yeah. So I got saved under his spiritual mom's
Oh
ministry. So
yeah.
she was my spiritual mom as
Yes,
well.
yes, 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 yes.
So I got saved in her ministry.
Wow.
So yeah, I got saved in her ministry, and apparently he was serving in that
Mm.
ministry. But we never I wasn't I just got born again, not for
Mhm.
anything. And then after getting saved, under her ministry, I now one day I was going to serve, like I told you, I was doing praise and worship. So I was going to serve in this
Mhm.
ministry. And when I was on my way, he was making a call. In those days, we didn't have the phones. Okay. You there? I can't see you, prophetess. Hey, wow. Okay, I think it's maybe network. Maybe I can just go on with the story. I don't know if you all can hear me. Oh, I don't know what happened.
Oh.
Prophetess,
Okay, we're back. We're
it's
back. Yeah,
network.
yeah,
Oh,
we're back. It's okay.
okay. I see you
Okay, good,
now.
good, 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 good.
I
Good.
see you now. Oh my gosh, I see you. Okay. I wasn't sure whether people could hear
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So
But we can see you now and hear you
okay,
now.
you can hear
Mm-hmm.
me now. All right. And so one day I'm going to serve the Lord. I'm going to do praise and worship at lunch hour meeting. So my spiritual mom always had lunch hour
Mm-hmm.
meetings. And so I would always go to those lunch hour
Mm-hmm.
meetings. And so one of these days when I was
Mm-hmm.
going there, uh, Bishop stops
Mm-hmm.
me. Of course, then he was just Alan
Mm-hmm.
and I was Kathy. And so he stops me and he says, "Hey, Kathy." And I, at first and foremost, I want to
Mm-hmm.
fall because this handsome man even knows my name. I'm like, "Hey." And then he says, "Can I speak with you?" And I said, uh-huh. And I stood at the corner somewhere and he finished on the phone and he came and said, "Look, I want to get to know you. I want to take you out
Mm-hmm.
for lunch." And remember, he was 6'1", the most handsome man. I looked at him and I said, "I don't do lunch
Were you bluffing my
because I
bishop? Were
serve the
you
Lord."
bluffing my bishop?
I'm telling you, I said, and he says the minute I said
Mhm.
no, he knew that it was
Wow.
God because I said no because I was serving
Mm-hmm.
God and I was going to minister at
Mm-hmm.
lunchtime, and every lunchtime I would be serving God. So I was not
Mm-hmm.
interested. Remember, I'm a young
Yes.
girl, but I was sold out for
Yes.
God. I just wanted to be, to serve God with all
Mm-hmm.
my heart. So anyway, he got to find out where I was
Mm-hmm.
working, and then he came to the
Mm-hmm.
office. And of course, the second time I said yes. And where are we going? Like, yeah, quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Wow. So when you guys finally got together, the
Yeah,
child, what
yeah,
was his take on it? And I want you to speak to the young single mom that is just
yeah,
trusting God, but has heard that no one will marry you because you have a child.
yeah. The devil is a liar, so is his mother-in-law. There is nothing
Mm.
like that. God is so
Wow.
faithful and he is so
Mhm.
amazing. So people used to tell me, how are you gonna get saved at your young
Mhm.
age? You know, get a husband and da 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 da. And I said, you know what? If God doesn't have husbands in the church, then that's okay. I'm not getting saved
Yeah.
for like,
Mhm.
forget it. So anyway, let me tell you. it's a lie for any woman, any young single woman that's watching me right now. It's always a lie from the pits of hell to make you feel condemned and ashamed and embarrassed. And all those are just lies from hell, because God doesn't condemn us,
Preach it.
okay? And yes, He doesn't condemn us for where we are coming from. He helps us. He's always ready to embrace us and to love us as we are. And so yeah, and so my baby was 3 years old at this time. And the first day we went on a date, so I told him, as we sat to have coffee, we sat down like this, and I said to him, look, I have a child and she's 3. And he goes, oh my gosh, that's the cutest thing, he says. And then he tells me, I want to meet her, he says. And I'm like, first meet the mother, deal with the mother first.
What a tough cookie. Wow.
But can I surprise you, prophetess? Do you know that the first time I met Bishop, he told me he wanted to get married?
I believe it because he told us this story when he came for fear.
Yeah.
I vividly remember him
Right.
saying, oh, immediately, I told her, I
Yeah.
don't have time for games. I want to marry you. And I
Yeah.
laughed in my head because I
That's
was
what he
like, oh,
said.
he came for business.
Yeah. No, that man was sent
Wow.
from God.
Amen.
And I'm telling you, from the time I knew him, and remember we were young, he was also a young man. He was 26. And I'm telling you, he was sold out. All he wanted was to serve God. He wasn't joking. He told me, look, I'm very serious. I want to get married. I'm not here for games. And so please just know that. And I'm like, so when I told him now I have the child, and he's like, can I meet her, please? And I said, no, 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 not just yet. Let me just get to know you first and da 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 da. Let me tell you, the minute he met her, I can't even explain to you, but they became the best of friends. The best of friends. Like he completely loved her. They fell in love with each other. Even her, she loved him at first sight.
To the point that if you don't know this information, you would just assume that's his child and they even look alike.
Completely. And everybody, people who don't know me don't even know unless they hear me say, because I like to say it. And the reason why I like to say it is to let somebody know that God doesn't throw you off just because you've done some stuff out there. He loves you. He embraces you the way you are, and we don't change ourselves. He's the one that changes us. And for any single woman, you have a single mother, you're out there and you have a child or even 2, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, my life is over. It's a lie. God can give you the very best. God has you in mind, in his heart, and he can give you the very best, and you don't need to condemn yourself.
Amen.
Yeah.
And so did his family accept you?
The family accepted and loved me. In fact, now let me tell you, both of us were from very different backgrounds. Okay, so I was from I was from an okay family, like
Middle class.
I wasn't from a poor family. Let me put it that way. He was from a poor family, and so he was brought up in the slum. And so we were worlds apart, and so my family, this is so amazing, they completely fell in love with him the first day they ever laid hands on him, laid eyes on him. Like the minute they set their eyes on him, they just loved him. And then when I met his family, they were like, will she really? Are you sure with this one that has packed her car here?
This shiny girl here.
Will she accept us? This bougie girl, will she really like us? That was their concern. So they were making me laugh and saying that when they saw me going to the house, they were hiding things and cleaning up the house to make it look a little better. Oh my gosh. But yes, they accepted me and loved me, and I loved them too.
Amen. Amen. So let's journey on
Yeah.
into your marriage. You guys get married now.
Yeah.
Do you guys have money? Are you guys like big timers, or did you struggle financially? We want to know what that was
Mm.
like before you even entered into ministry. What was that like?
Right. Okay. So now we've gotten
Mhm.
married, and we are all excited. We are in love, like we are in love. Okay. And like I told you, my family was
Mhm.
okay financially. They spoiled us. So for our wedding, they gave us everything. We got married with a full
Mm,
house,
mm,
full of
mm.
everything, like more than. We actually opened our gifts for the next many years
Wow.
in our marriage. Yeah, like they bombarded us from every side with gifts. So fast forward, we are now married, and then a prophet comes to our spiritual authorities
Mhm.
meeting and tells us that God has called us to have our own ministry, and that He's going to use us to raise leaders all over the world. We're going to be everywhere, and He's going to do this and that and that and
Mhm.
that and that. And so, we are all excited, like, wow, oh my gosh. And says that God's going to use the two
Mhm.
of us. And I mean, a very powerful
Mhm.
prophecy. And so we are all excited and all that. And and he said, and you're going to be financially blessed. Let me tell you, you'll not even be praying
And
for
what
money.
what
So, of
year
course,
was
when you're
this
told,
in the marriage?
this, so we've got married in
Mhm.
94, and this prophecy comes in 96. This is only 2 years after. God has a sense
Very
of
much.
humor. So this is 2 years after, in 96, we get a word. And we are so excited, and we are thinking, wow. And so me, I thought that the next day I'll go to the bank, and of course I'll just find things have changed. Like the
Mhm.
accounts are reading because we've been told we'll never pray
Yeah.
for money. And I'm thinking it's tomorrow. Huh. this, this will help
Yeah.
somebody. And of course, it wasn't to be. So I didn't know that when you get such a powerful
Mm.
prophecy, God comes for what you
Wow.
have.
Wow. Please stay
I,
there.
I thought He
Please stay there
brings.
for a second.
I didn't think.
Stay there for a second because people think they can go to the bank tomorrow.
Huh,
Let us know. Let us
and
know.
get
Talk to
a.
us about that waiting and trusting and that faith
Right,
process.
right. And so we are thinking that this is it, where we're just gonna flow and fly. And then even what we had was
Wow.
taken. And our roller coaster began at that time,
Jesus.
literally. Our furniture, everything that we were given for the wedding 2 years before. And don't forget that in 95, the year after we got married, we've now gotten our second born.
Wow.
All
Wow.
right. So now we have two children. We have Vanessa, we have
Yes.
Stephanie. And then now it's 96, and we are getting this
Jesus.
word. And we are thinking, wow, everything is just honky dory, and we're just going to have fun. But God has a sense of humor. My goodness, we get auctioned everything we
What?
had, everything we were given for the wedding is taken.
Wow.
And now we've been auctioned, and I'll tell you why. Let me just tell somebody
Mhm.
out there so that they can understand. We were using a card,
Mhm.
credit card.
Mhm.
And so we were using that to get lots of things, because sometimes you can get a card
Mhm.
and think that
Mhm.
it's for free, like you can just get free things. We were wisening up. And we did use that card very well. We bought lots of things with that card. So long story short, we were
Mhm.
auctioned, and our roller coaster began at that time. And the
Mm.
preparation for ministry began at that time. And this is now, we fast forward, we are in 97. And we are in this predicament that we can't even begin to explain. People who had gotten married, full house, everything was nice. We were roasting meat anytime we wanted. What you call a bride? You call it bride? You call it
Yeah,
bride
you
there?
can say that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so so we are having a good time, just doing all manner of barbecues and having a good time. Then suddenly we can't even have meat in our house. And then the Lord said to us, He said to me particularly, do not engage your family at all in this matter.
Wow.
Fear God, fear God forever. He said, do not engage your family in this matter. This is me and you. So don't engage your family. So God said, do not ask them for stuff. Then my parents call us because they have heard rumors. They've been told there are things that are happening. Wow. And they call us to their house and they tell us, look, I'm hearing that Vanessa is not even going to school anymore because you're not being able to pay school fees. What's going on? And so the Lord said to me, this is where you be quiet. Like, don't say anything. So I'm looking at them like this and not saying a word. And they asked, do you need our help? And that's the only part I said no.
Wow.
And they're like, what do you mean you don't need our help? You've never been out of school. Why would you have a kid out of school? And da 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 da. And the story continued. And that is where the Lord said to us, this is me and you. So do not ask anybody to bail you out. And let me tell you, He worked on us. And our wilderness went so crazy that we came from now that house that we were renting into going to a widow's house. We started to literally sleep on the floor. Now, this is 97, okay? This is 97, 98. We are sleeping on the floor. Are you hearing of somebody else's house, not even our house? Because now we can't even afford anything. Like our wilderness was so gruesome. But now when I look back, I see it's because of what God was going to do in our lives, right? So He was preparing us for JCC, for Jubilee Christian Church, for the ministry. And it was a very rough patch. And I don't know who's listening to me right now, that maybe you could be in a predicament, in a situation that's so dark that you don't even know whether you're coming, going, or gone. It's so ridiculous. You can't even explain where you are. When God is preparing you, you don't need to explain anything to anyone. Just go through it and allow Him to finish the process. Because it was at the end of 98 that the Lord said to us, I want you to begin Jubilee Christian Church. But at that time, we were so beaten down. It was so dark. We couldn't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. We couldn't afford school fees for our 2 kids because by this time, Stephanie is now of age to go to school. She was already 3. And we here in Kenya, we take our kids to school, to kindergarten when they're 3.
Okay.
All right. And so she's also of school going age, and of course we couldn't afford. So we would look at all the neighbors going to the bus to take their kids to the bus to go to school, and we're just envying them because we can't even take ours to school. Because here is not like America where like school is free.
You got to pay for it. So
You gotta
someone
pay for
here
it.
is asking, how do you still trust God when the prophecy isn't looking promising while in the wilderness?
Your eyes must always be on God. You cannot remove your eyes and put your eyes in the circumstances.
Oh, that's good.
Because God does not change, but circumstances change. And so you must not allow the circumstances to determine who God is in your life. Because many times that's the problem. We look at the circumstances and equate God with our circumstances. But our God is so vast, He's so mighty, He's so amazing that what we are going through is so small. That's why He says, count it all joy when you're going through diverse trials, because it is actually working on our faith. Because yes, God works on our faith through those kind of challenges. And the faith is to believe that which you can't see. It's not, you can't see it, but you just have to trust that the one who promised is faithful.
Is faithful.
Is faithful. He has never failed and he will not start now.
So good. Are we enjoying this? This
Yeah.
is so good. Someone just wrote that
Wow.
they appreciate the fact that you said that you don't have to explain yourself when God is still working on you and on your
Yeah.
situation. What if people are pressurizing you? What if your parents kept on saying, but we want to pay for the school fees? What if people are saying you're being pompous, you're being silly, we have resources here? What if people began to pressure you? What was your response going to be?
You see, you either purpose to follow God or people. If you remember Saul, Saul followed the people because he was more people pleasing than God pleasing. And he followed the people. And look at what happened. God rejected him. And so you've got to purpose to follow after God, even when it doesn't make sense, even when you look stupid, even when they are speaking against you, even when they are pressurizing you to pull you into their corner. Your mind, your eyes, your focus, your everything must be on God, because you must change your perspective from people and what they think to God and what's God's perspective. And so your eyes must be focused and stuck on God, because pressures will always come. But don't be like Saul, who decided to please people. He was more afraid of the people and what people think and what they say than what God says and what God thinks.
Bishop,
Yeah.
all the way from Canada, Bishop.
Prophetess.
My God, my goodness, my today. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So good. So good. And I think
Our
that
eyes.
just being close to you, I've seen that you truly look up to Jesus. If I've noticed and I've
Absolutely.
admired anything about you, you look up to Jesus. I remember one of the JCCs, the power went down. And I was expecting you to like go and panic. And you just looked at me and said, they'll fix it. And you just continued with ease. With ease.
Yeah.
And one thing about you is that you focus on God. I'm sure there were times where you kind of look to the side, but I can say the majority of the time that I've known you, your eyes are fixed on Jesus. So admirable.
They're fixed. Thank you. Thank you. My eyes are fixed on him. They are fixed on him, because the minute you remove your eyes, you drown. The minute you remove your eyes, you drown. So I've got to be fixed on him.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
So now we've gone through the struggle. How does JCC open up? Because I now want you to begin to speak to the first ladies. We actually have a lot of first ladies on here across the globe. And one thing that I've been receiving, especially messages for you, people want to know the beginning stages. We have older first ladies here and we'll talk to them. But for the new first ladies, the women who are now entering into ministry and they think that it looks lavish and it looks like blonde wigs all the time. What was that like for you and Bishop?
So when God spoke to us and said he wanted us to start church, he gave us the vision, and he gave my husband, he said, you shall teach, train, and equip the body of Christ with the word of faith so that believers can live a victorious life. Now, that was the vision that he gave Bishop. And when Bishop shared it with me and said what God told him, God showed me in the night where exactly the church was going to be and where it was going to start. Now, remember, we are in the widow's house. We have nothing to our name. We are at 0 point. We don't have a coin to our name. We are literally being kept by a widow. And so, when the Lord spoke to us, He said, "Start on this day." And you know what? We took a step of faith because we are people of faith, people of faith, and we took a step of faith. And one of the ladies, actually the widow woman, she was working somewhere. She said to us, "I'm going to do the flyers for you for free." And so she did the flyers for us. Remember, this is a faith project. We started giving flyers before having money to even pay for the whole. And so we gave flyers, and we because God had already set the date and told us what date it was going to
Wow.
be. And so we started giving flyers. And then one day we went to give a pastor friend of ours, we went to give him a flyer and to let him know that we were starting Jubilee Christian Church. So remember, we have nothing. We've already gone and spoken to the lady who owns the restaurant. It was a restaurant where we were going to start. We've already told her that we want to start a church there. She started saying, "Oh, we've never done church here," and all that. And I said, "You know what? I know that this is the place." And she said, "It's going to be this much." And I said, "No, it's going to be this much," because God had given me a
That's
figure.
right.
And when you've gone through so much wilderness, you really hear the voice of God and you obey Him in spite of what you feel. And so, anyway, we agreed. I told her how much it was going to be, and she said, "It's okay." So we go to this man of God's place, and he says, "Listen, I have an envelope here for you that God had told me to give you, and I didn't know where to get you. I'm so glad you're here." And we said, I said to myself, what I need right now is envelope and not with a
And not
letter.
with a letter. I need some money, and I need it
Some
now.
money. I need some money. Guess what? The envelope had 10,000 shillings. I want to convert that. That is $100.
Wow.
That's what it had.
Wow.
And guess what? To us, it was like 10.5
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
It was like, oh my gosh. It was an answer to prayer. It was amazing. So we step out, we now go pay for the place, and then we say the rest of the money we're going to do tea and biscuits and cake to welcome the people for the inauguration. All right. And so we started. Inauguration, of course, had people. We had about maybe 45, 50 people, because it was inauguration and we had shouted about it and we had given them flyers and blah blah. And there was tea and there was cake until, until the second Sunday. And people went to their
Wow.
churches. And prophetess, it was myself, my husband, our children, our house help, and two more.
I know it all too well.
And
I
we
know this all too well. And I'm happy you're
you
sharing this because people need to know that this is the labor that has gone on. When they see JCC, this international, big, hundreds of thousands of people, this is the behind the scenes.
this is the behind the scenes. It was so discouraging. We were like, we went and parked the car somewhere and we both broke down. Nobody could help the other. We broke down. We cried like little children. We were like, did we hear God? Oh my. Literally, we cried so much. We wondered, oh my gosh, is it why? How? Where are the people? So anyway, and it started, and today 5 people would come, tomorrow 2, the other day 3, another day 7, like that. And we continued. And then we just started to grow. And somehow God just began to show himself strong, and we would get some 10 people. Of course, we couldn't even afford to pay for the whole now. We are really, every step was faith. Just trusting God that he was going to come and turn things around. But we kept on trusting and moving and believing and looking up to God and praying. We were a praying church. Let me tell you, JCC was started with prayer,
Long time.
and we continued to dig in. Prayer became our anchor, our everything. And Bishop was a man of prayer. And so he would really push us to pray. Like we would pray like 6-7 hours. We are pushing in prayer and trusting in God to just move upon our
Wow.
lives. And we began to see, prophetess, if I tell you, we began to see a manifestation of God's power. So sometimes I would go to the church, I would leave the man of God praying, because I was going to prepare the way like John the Baptist for Jesus. So, so I would go and I would find the church flooded with water, flooded, like completely flooded. And I would take a bucket and start throwing the water out. And, just meanwhile, it's like 5 a.m. in the morning and the service is starting at about 9. And so I would pour all that water and then prepare the seats and then wipe them and then go rush home, change, come and stand at the door to welcome people.
Wow.
And they have no idea that I've been there. River Jordan had visited us.
So you have labored.
You
You
know,
have labored. And most people
labored.
think that is only the pastor. But you are showing
Ah,
us that the women too labor, or they have to labor.
they have to. They have to, because it's on you. You can't sit pretty and just be wearing gold hair and waiting for things to happen.
It's true.
You make them happen,
Amen.
you know.
Amen. So God
Yeah.
honors the laborer. So to any first lady out there who is probably now starting ministry anywhere from year 1 to year 5, and they don't see this big hundreds of thousands of people, what encouragement do you have for them?
Don't give up. Let your eyes be on God, like we keep saying. And don't give up. Know that he who began a good work is faithful to complete it. And then be faithful. Be faithful in little. The Bible says if you're faithful in little, you will be trusted with much. And God watches us. So in little, be faithful. And the thing that I would tell you is love the people of God. Even if they are not giving, even if they're not where you wish they were, it is your prophesying and your holding their hand that will cause them to become. And so, yeah, God will give you see, I believe you know this, prophetess, that many times when you're starting, the people that God brings are like the mighty men of David who came distressed, in debt,
Busted and
depressed,
disgusted. Yeah. Broke. All of that. Yeah.
needing God. But you must show faithfulness even in those and in that time. So you must be faithful. You must love the people of God, serve them with all your heart, with all your mind. Let God who sees begin to reward you. And God rewards labor.
Does. He does.
He rewards labor. So as you move on faithfully, he will keep rewarding you. And he'll keep making you grow and helping you to really see growth. And let me tell you, in a while, after just laboring and pushing, our church became the talk of the city. Like everybody was JCC. Have you seen JCC? And let me just say this, that we were breaking a mold, because my husband and I started as a young couple. We had not seen a young couple doing it together. We had not seen that model. And so it was like us starting
Mhm.
it. So we were being hit from every side. Who do they think they are? These young people. Oh, da, da, da. Like, but we kept on doing what God had told us to
Mm.
do. And as a result, we have birthed so many others that are now doing ministry together, husband and wife, loving each other. People would accuse us even for having pet names. We always called each other
Mhm.
baby.
Mhm.
And what? People would even write letters.
Mm.
The amount of hate that you guys received for loving each other out loud, even in ministry, is astronomical. It's mind blowing. But you guys
Mind
persisted.
blowing.
You guys persisted and you persisted and you persisted. And I just find so
Mm.
much admiration. Yes.
Amen.
Now, before we
Amen.
wrap up, I know that you and
Mm.
Bishop loved each other out loud. This is something we talked about
Yes.
before. You guys loved each other out loud. And that is what even drew so many people to just come and see what is happening. And when they saw it, they're
Right.
like, this is amazing. Now, the love
Yeah.
of your life dies. How are you coping? What are you doing? You're a woman. How are you carrying a church? Why haven't you given it over? Like, what is going on? How are you doing what you're doing at this particular moment?
Ooh, prophetess, you had to go there, right?
Just for the last few minutes, I just had to.
Ah,
Because I've seen
ah, do
I've
you
seen the curtain
do you
rolled
have
back.
do you have 5 hours?
I've seen the curtain rolled back, and I'm sitting here every single day when you put on your 10-inch heels, wondering how. How? Continue, please.
Mm. Let me tell you, like I keep saying, my husband loved me loudly, loudly. It was announced all over the globe. Everybody knew our love was just deep and it was amazing. And he was my best friend, my very best friend. Like we were everywhere. He took me all over the world, all over. And we went just loving on each other. We were, do you know, let me just tell you something. We went to in 2022, we went to Hawaii. And he took me there because that was my dream place. I really wanted to go
Wow.
to Hawaii one time, and he did it. It was a
Wow.
surprise. So when he took me there, people actually thought that we were there on honeymoon. They were like, are you on honeymoon? And we were like, oh Lord, you
How
know,
beautiful.
like, oh
Wow.
my goodness. Yeah. So for him to go, it's not something that I saw coming or could even
Mhm.
imagine. I always saw him rising up and doing life with me. So he went, and I want you to,
Mhm.
prophetess, it's been honestly a day at a
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
Like just the day before yesterday on
Mhm.
Saturday, my eyes were swollen. They were red the entire day because I wept in a way that I couldn't even, you didn't want to see me on
Mhm.
Saturday. And so I cry, and then I wipe my tears, and I put on my heels and put on some makeup, and because I'll tell you why. Because of my faith in God and my love for God. And I know that God never makes mistakes. And I judge him faithful.
Mhm.
And he knew that on the 9th of July of 2024, he would take his servant home. And that is my confidence that God, you never, there's nothing that happens that you're unaware
Mhm.
of. And so for him to have come home at that
Mhm.
time, you knew. And you also knew that he would grace
Mhm.
me enough to stand. And so, because of my relationship with God, again, I go back there. When you're so close to God and you love God with all your might, because I love God with my everything. I love God with every fiber of my being. And because of that, I know that God cannot wrong me. And I know that God does all things well. Whether they pain us, they hurt us, he does all things well. And so I rest assured of his faithfulness. And so even if I hurt and I weep and I cry, he always gives me grace to be able to rise up and move on. And he assured me, let me tell you, by the time my husband was going to be with the Lord, he had done an entire blueprint of where JCC
Listen, I wish
was
we had
going.
more time because the story is just too much. The man had vision and he was
Yeah.
your cheerleader and he passed the baton.
Yeah.
You tell your story because
Yeah, like the last day that he preached in church, the last preaching he ever preached in church, he literally took the microphone and handed it over to me, never to return. He handed over the microphone like this. I picked the microphone and continued, and he was never to return. And then the blueprint, he had drawn exactly where JCC is going, like from wall to wall. He had drawn exactly where. So I have this belief that they agreed that like they cut a deal with God, like to make sure that we are good. Because I'm telling you, I can't, prophetess, I can't begin to explain to you and everybody that's watching us today how much grace God has poured upon us and JCC. It's beyond explanation. That anybody that can see JCC and what's happening right now, they know that this is not a woman. This is not the hand of Bishop, Lady Bishop. This is God's hand at work. He has done so much in a short while, turned things around in a way that I can't even explain. So I am crying, I am hurting. It's difficult. You don't wish it on anybody in this life. You don't wish it on anyone. It's not a joke. It's sometimes I scratch my head. I'm like, what? Like Bishop? How? The strongest man? How? What? So it's not easy, but with eyes on God, he can carry you through anything. So I know we'll make it because he lives.
Because he lives, we can face tomorrow. You
We can face tomorrow.
are an exemplary international icon for women across the globe. You are doing it so well. You did it so
Amen.
well. You continue to do it so well. I'm here watching all the comments. We have hundreds. We have over 500 on YouTube. We have a couple of hundreds on Facebook and a couple of hundreds on Instagram. And everyone is just saying, wow, from the grace to rise up. Someone said, I'm learning so much from this session. Someone said, these are incredible wisdom nuggets. Others are encouraged. You have caused people to rise again, to stand up. What a rich legacy, someone said. Someone said, your life is absolutely amazing. And they are encouraged by your words. Now, to just end it off, because I know you have a lot of important things to do, can you speak to the woman that feels as if her life has been put on the back burner? I recently spoke to someone and she said that she basically left her husband, who was a pastor, because she wanted to do something, but it was all about him. And it was becoming too much for her. I look
Mm.
at you and you allowed the man's vision to expand internationally, yet you did not lose yourself. And so I just want you to encourage those who are in need of that rhetoric, because nowadays people are
Mm.
saying that when you become a wife you lose yourself, you don't have your own vision, you gotta, do everything the husband says, and it's just a bad rhetoric. I know that's not the truth because I'm living a good
Mm.
life, but I want you to encourage the masses, please.
Mm. Mm. So one thing I have seen that a woman needs to be very careful about is, as a woman, you must know your
Mm,
position and then accept your position and allow your husband to be in his position. See, when your husband knows that he is the head of the
mm,
home, and he also knows that you honor and respect
mm,
him as the
mm,
head, and you honor his
mm,
position, because you see, it's a position that God has
mhm,
given him.
mhm,
If he knows that you honor his position as the head, and there is no competition, because this is the other thing, that if as a woman your man feels
mhm,
threatened, like there is a competition in this,
mhm,
calling, there's going to be
mhm,
war, there's going to be a
mm,
fight. He's not going to let you just easy and free. And so you as a woman must be very careful not to be
mm,
competitive, because I have seen in my
mm,
journey, we have been in ministry for the last
mm,
26 years. JCC is 26 years
mm,
old, and I have seen a lot of couples even literally leave each other. And it's because of the positions. Many times, when a man is not comfortably seated in his role as a
mm,
husband and as a
woo,
head, he begins to
mm,
fight, and it begins to war even with where you are and your position as a woman. So you must be careful for him not to feel like you're threatening his position as a
mm,
man. See, even when you see a lion in the jungle, when that lion is threatened by anything around it, like it's coming to take its position, there's going to be war.
mm,
And so you as a woman must really honor your husband and honor his position and let him know what you believe. Let me tell you, I supported my husband until the day he went to be with the Lord. And if he said to me, don't go to a particular meeting, I
mhm,
didn't go.
mhm, mhm,
If he felt somehow that it wasn't good for me to be somewhere, I would
mhm,
not go, because I honored him and his position and his
mm,
decision.
mm,
And so that is very, very important, because if there is going to be war and
mhm,
fights and arguments, and like you taking the headship as a
mhm,
woman, it's not a good thing. So you take your position. However, having said that, there are also men who are
mm,
insecure, and they just get insecure, and it becomes impossible for the woman to
mhm,
thrive. So every man also needs to really know who he
mhm,
is,
mhm,
so that you don't allow your insecurity to stifle your wife's voice, because it's not fair for her not to exercise what God has put in her just because of your
mm,
insecurities as a man. So that has to also be put in check. And if you as a wife has sensed that insecurity, maybe you need to go and seek
mm,
counsel, somebody that he can probably listen
mhm,
to, and see how there can be a change. Another thing I must say is that you as a woman, you must grow,
mm,
because sometimes the man can grow and grow and grow, and you're not
mhm,
growing. You're just
mhm,
there. There's nothing you're doing for
mhm,
growth. You're not on the same
mhm,
page. You're not flowing the same
mhm,
direction. You're not doing anything to grow. Anything that doesn't grow begins to
mm,
stagnate. And that is where now, death
woo,
begins, with stagnation. Yeah. So you must grow. Whatever you do as a woman, you must rise up and grow. Don't be in the same position you are in 2024. Decide that 2025 you're going to grow. How are you going to grow? What are the things that you're going to do? Read
Mm-hmm.
books. Watch people that are where you want to
Mm-hmm.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Determine that you're going to
Mm-hmm.
become who you are created to become, and it can only happen by deciding to
Mm-hmm.
grow. Let me tell you a short story. I was watching something just today of this woman. Her name is Martha, that grew so much all over the marketplace. Powerful woman, became so big, and then jealousy allowed people to really bring her down. And at the end of the day, she was brought down, even taken to prison. Blah blah blah. She came from prison and said, you know what, I cannot be put
Mm-hmm.
out. She started to grow again. I'm just saying, and guess what? She got to the same point that she was before she was before she came
Mm-hmm.
down. Because you are the determining factor. You're the one who decides that nothing is going to stop you from growing and from becoming. Mhm. I believe, prophetess, that any woman can become anything in this
Yes,
life.
absolutely.
But you have to determine, don't allow other voices to be the ones telling you. Don't listen to voices that put you down and make you feel worthless.
Mm-hmm.
No. Determine who is allowed to
Mm-hmm.
speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're the one who allows and
That's right.
disallows.
That's right.
Determine who you allow to speak to you, so that there is nothing that hinders you from growing. And if you have people around you that are hindrances, please deal with
Mm.
them. Get out
Mm.
so that you can become all you are created to be.
Woo!
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys something. Lady Bishop will be at Think Pink. So we're going to have more of these combos and she's going to go deep into it. Lady Bishop, I just love you. I
Yeah.
can keep talking to you forever because I even wanted you to share
You know.
that story about how your worship wasn't going to heaven. You remember that story you shared in
Yeah.
Nigeria? Um, but I guess we'll wait for Think Pink for that one because that one was very
Yeah.
powerful as well too. I
Yeah.
I love you.
I
Do
love
you
you.
have any parting words for us? I know you've spoken a lot, you've given so much wisdom. We are full right now. We are full.
Mm, I love you too. And I can't wait to come to Think Pink. And I can't wait for you to come to Daughters of
Can't
Zion.
wait.
Yeah. All I'll say is this, that you're a woman without
Mm.
limits. And you're the only one who can limit
Woo!
yourself. Don't limit yourself by what you're telling
Mm.
yourself. Get out of your own
Woo!
way. You stop yourself by standing in your way. Not even the devil can
Woo!
stop you. Only you can stop
Mm.
yourself. So decide. I'm not going to stop myself by sabotaging myself. So I'm going to start speaking
Mm.
life to
Mm.
myself. I'm telling you, you begin to speak where you want to go, because words, I'm telling you, words are powerful. And if today, as a woman, you say, this is where I'm going, this is where I'm going to be, this is who I'm going to be, do you know something? Just yesterday, I was
Mhm.
somewhere and I met somebody who said her dream and
Mm.
prayer was to meet me one day.
Mm.
Wow. Wow.
And guess what? It came
It
to
came to
pass. And I just want to talk to somebody out there. Have a dream, have a goal, and one day it's going to come to pass. And you look back and say, wow, I'm glad I did it. So don't give up, don't quit, don't throw in the towel, don't allow voices to speak, to demean you and intimidate you. You can be all that and a bag of chips and a dip on the side. I love
Amen.
you.
I love you too. Thank you so much. If you've enjoyed this conversation, I want you to know that Lady Bishop Kiuna will be in the building for Think Pink. It's going to be amazing. And if you thought this was something,
Yeah.
the lady is a firecracker. Her husband, one time, came to our program and was like, "Baby, what did you do?" Because she tore up the stage, she lifted the roof, and then he came and he demolished the building to the point that we had a fire alert system go down. These people are dangerous people. So they're going to be at Think Pink, or she's going to be at Think Pink by the grace of God. And Think Pink tickets are on sale. There's a flash sale going on. So I want you to hurry up and get your tickets. It's going to be amazing. Lady Bishop, I love you. I honor you.
I love
You
me.
are just a gift to me, to the body of Christ. We celebrate you.
Thank
I
you.
join millions of women because you are not 100,000 type of woman. You're the millions type of women. I join millions of women, and we
Thank you.
celebrate your strength, and we ask that the Lord minister
Thank
strength onto you to continue doing that which God
Amen.
has called you to do, because we're all watching, we are learning, and
Thank you.
just like you don't throw in the towel, as long as you keep going, you give us all strength to continue to go. So we love you, and I appreciate you.
Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. I
I
love
love
you.
you
Mwah, mwah,
too.
mwah. Say hi to my
Yes,
people,
I
okay?
will.
Say hi to my kindred. Yeah.
Love you. Bye bye.
I
God
love
bless
you.
you.
Bye-bye. Love you. Bye. Mm.
Woo! Am I still on?
We can bring you back.
Yeah. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on. You're on.
Oh my goodness, party people, that was a roller coaster. I couldn't even speak, and I can speak a lot, but I was just sitting there like, "Whoo, my goodness, my goodness." I'm excited. I'm excited. Come to Think Pink. It's in August. It's the second week of August, and you're gonna get more of these conversations. I'm excited. This is just absolutely amazing. The hand of God was all over this live. If you want to watch the whole thing, I want you to go back on our YouTube page. I believe it's on my YouTube or the church's YouTube. On both YouTubes. It's also on Facebook. Make sure you share it. I believe women across the globe will be blessed by this. Stay tuned every day this month.
Instagram too.
It's on Instagram too. Every day this month, it's going to literally be amazing. The women that God handpicked for this assignment, it's mind blowing. Who knows? We'll probably do it twice a day, as there's so many women that I really wanted to talk to. But I hope you're enjoying this. Let me know. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, put it on your stories. Let the world know. Buy your Think Pink tickets. It's on a flash sale, so it's a lot cheaper than normal. But I love you all, and I'll see you, God willing, tomorrow at 1 p.m. with Prophetess Jackie Fleming, and she too has a story. Until next time, may the Lord be with you.